Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we'd like to call our workshop to order. And first order out of business is discussion regarding Lampasas County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center biannual report, quarters 3 and 4. And Melissa Unger.
Sorry. Not that I'm not ready. Good evening. Thank you all for seeing me this evening. So, in your packets, I believe that you have the combined budget, financial statement, the breakdown of the reimbursements for receipts, for expenditures, and then you'll also find in your packet the status report for the Visitor Center by way of website views and visits per events, directory, jobs, all of the analytical tracking information that you'll see on there, including social media, relocation, such as if we mail out information on Lampasas or someone comes in and asks for information. The Visitor Center budget is the one that's attached, and then Visitor Center traffic is all of our Visitor Center visitors that come via phone call, email, in person, and those numbers are there. And then occupancy rates, as we always struggle to get those from the hotels. We're going to try to do a better job. We don't collect on bed and breakfast or RV parks at this time. However, those are obviously lodging options for Lampasas, so they just don't factor into HOP funding. And then you'll also find in there the chamber events, and those are highlighted as to the events that the chamber is actually hosting and supporting on their own with event planning, as opposed to the collaborative events that we work with other nonprofits to co-host. And all the supporting documents are included in that. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take any of those.
In relationship to previous years?
Yes, sir.
Visits, mailings, how you doing?
So, good and bad. So, the downtrodden of tourism ever since COVID, we peaked probably in like 2021, 2022. It has been down in the previous years of 2023, 2024. It's kind of steady right now. I would say that there's a lot of people that are making more travel decisions based on what they want to spend as far as experiences and events and things like that. They're not just the RV travelers that we saw a lot of during COVID, because during COVID, that was like the only way that you could travel, to camp or to RV. And we did have quite a few people come in for that. We still have a good amount of people that come in and from out of state. If you'll notice on the numbers, the out of state says 13, but that is actually just for calls, I believe. No, that's actually for people. It's down. I mean, the out-of-state traffic is way down, but that's not out of region. So in-state, I mean, you get people from the Metroplex, you get people from Austin, so that's not broken down as into just Lampasas County. And then as far as the mailings and so forth, that is actually up for people asking for information. We are now on tourtexas.com. And then I've also, as I mentioned in the last meeting that I was here, created a tourism pamphlet that we've gone over a couple times, and I mailed those to 13 different visitor centers and travel centers. And as a matter of fact, I've already had 2 call back because they need more. So that's a good sign that people are picking up our information in those travel centers around the state. So, I mean, it really just depends. It ebbs and flows. There's not really a comparison per year other than that seasonal traffic that we see the difference in. It is really high around event time though.
How do you track the in-state and out-of-state visitors?
We actually have them sign in, or if their email is from out of state, That analytics is tracked through tourtexas.com, and the analytics, anytime we get an information request, a mailing address, if we know it's out of state or in state. And then obviously we have a sign-in sheet in the visitor center as well for people to come in and write down where they're from and stuff like that. And plus we ask them, but ask them on the phone.
hotels do we have? Hotel rooms do we have available?
I believe there's 55 in Quality Inn, about 55 in Best Western, and then about 30 in Country Inn.
And have you worked with the Christmas on the Creek for the upcoming tracking of their visitors from out of town and where they come from?
As far as them having a plan to acquire that information,
Yes.
no, I can definitely have a meeting with them and figure out what their plans are. We haven't discussed that yet. I'm working with a couple of other groups on the events that are happening a couple weeks prior to that. So we're doing a Small Business Saturday promotion that I just finished all the information for. We are working with the group for Carol of Lights. So we are trying to work with all those groups for the 4 weekends that happen in December. And then of course all the hunting advertising as well. So for the season.
We were working on some data software on that to be able to track some of that.
We proposed it to EDC, but they, believe it or not, moving forward with that software at this time until we figure out, because the data is so comprehensive, it doesn't do a lot of good unless there's a director or some sort of staff member that can dive deeper with that data. It doesn't make sense to make that investment at this time.
And to follow up, Mike Gill from the EDC and myself, we did do a demo with Placer AI. It was an hour-long demo. We asked all the right questions and got all the information to then present to the EDC to decide if that's something they wanted to move forward with. And it is a large investment because we did find out that the base model was just some reporting, was 12,000, and it just does the basic reporting. There's a lot of add-ons that you can obviously add on to it, and that drills down further into the actual attractions, the actual restaurants, and so forth, and sales data and things like that. But right now, Placer AI with the basic model just does foot traffic during certain time frames. And so those reports are okay, but it's what you're going to do with the software after and the reports after that make a difference. And if you're not going to use that information and turn it into an ROI, then it doesn't make sense at this point to do that. But that is essentially right now on a smaller scale what we currently do in the visitor center. So these numbers are foot traffic, their calls, emails, website visits, because our website, even though it has a chamber directory built inside the website itself, it is a tourism website. So it has hunting information, it has all 3 cities information, it has the county information, it has lodging, lodging, retail, restaurants, and so anything you'd want to know about anything, you can probably pretty much, especially to attend Lampasas as a visitor, you can find it all there. So, any other questions? Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, we'll go to number 3, discussion regarding contract with Sportsman Solutions regarding naming rights and sponsorships and opportunities.
Good evening, everybody. This was brought to council a couple weeks ago, and at the request of y'all, this has been put back on the agenda with quite a few answers to the questions that you've had. And so, so Parks and Recreation is wanting to enter into a contract with Sportsman Solutions for naming rights initiative in the term of 12 months. The department, along with Parks and Recreation departments nationwide, are trying to use this as an innovative way to bring in revenue into the department without costing the taxpayer any additional funding. And this also helps supplement grant opportunities on top of the naming rights and sponsorships. And then again, to refresh your memory, the Sportsman Solutions contract is a contract strictly between the city and Sportsman Solutions. Any third-party sponsor or naming right opportunity will be brought back to council after it's vetted from legal and within the city staff itself. As I mentioned before, it'll be a one-year contract with Sportsman Solutions from the time it's signed all the way until 12 months from there. And we will be able to renew that under certain conditions. As we mentioned before, there are a lot of opportunities within the city for naming rights opportunities. And it may not be renaming the facility itself, but it could be the 580 complex powered by Powerade, or HEB putting their logo on a canopy at maybe one of the pools, for example. And then event series that we have maybe is Moving Your Park, having a company purchase the naming rights and the sponsorship opportunity for that. So it could be Movie in Your Park series, sponsored by HEB or sponsored by whatever it may be. More commonly, we will see this in outfield and backstop signage at ball fields on a smaller scale, and then logos on outdoor basketball courts is another example of what we could see in this area. So one of the big things that you tasked me with was to go find smaller cities in Texas that are not in immediate metroplexes. For example, Clyde, Texas is about 160 miles out of Dallas. The population is 4,200. They have recently entered into a contract with Hanner Chevrolet. Their contract was a $500,000 upfront, a $400,000 naming right agreement across a 10-year time period, and at the end of that 10 years, they will receive an additional $200,000. And what the city of Clyde has done with this is they actually built this sports complex that you can see on the screen. And with that, they are seeing a uptick in upwards of about $14 million in revenue brought into their city, whether that be heads and beds, sales taxes, so on and so forth.
Does Clyde have 2 dealerships in their town? 3 dealerships, like we do?
So I'm not sure of the exact amount.
This dealership is actually not located in Clyde.
Right, I understand this dealership's not located in Clyde, but does Clyde have dealerships?
Clyde's very small, I doubt they have a dealership.
So something like this with a dealership coming in, trying to get their car sales, we have 3 dealerships that are very supportive.
But at the same time, to this point, none of those dealerships have came forward and said, hey, for this amount of money, we're looking at $1.1 million.
Have we asked any Boyd? Have we asked Hawkeye?
Again, nobody's came forward wanting to put any number amount on this.
You're right, but we could, like dealership here, we could talk to them.
Mhm.
We don't need this third-party company to talk to them. We could talk to them.
And again, I did mention the last time that this takes from start to finish, a significant amount of manpower hours from getting your foot in the door at these companies. I understand with smaller companies, we do tend to have that foot in the door. With those larger national brands, we may not. But then again, you're writing the contracts. You're going and vetting the company to make sure that there are no wrongdoings or no wrongdealings. And then you're getting a true valuation of your facility or a potential facility. And with that, we would have to outsource several of those items anyways. Through legal, we would have to pay legal teams to write those contracts, so on and so forth. And so we're getting it kind of in an all-in-one bundle with Sportsman Solutions. And again, for that reason, that is the reason, one of the many reasons to go with a company that deals in naming rights.
So they wouldn't necessarily just sponsor the 580 Sports Complex, they would also go after Turner ball field over there, as well as other sports facilities.
Potentially, with Turner Ballfield, there is a historical significance to the name. And so typically with something like that, it would be Turner Complex sponsored by whatever the company may be. But with the 580 complex, there's not any significant historical backing to that, except that it's on 580, and so that could be, you know, a higher ticketed item where they could be looking to name the facility Hanover Chevrolet Complex, for example.
So,
This
what
contract,
is your role in all of this? Like, what? I'm trying to figure out what it is your role is. If we're just gonna sign this contract, like, how do we factor in what you're doing? I mean, you're just bringing us an opportunity. What? You're not reaching out to the companies locally, so
Bailey's role in the city is not sponsorship recruitment. It's not necessarily revenue development. She's a recreation specialist. And so her job is to be recruiting tournaments, recruiting those recreational opportunities. She's not a salesman, other than of the sports complexes. So her job is not to sell these sponsorship products, it's to sell the facilities that we have, to bring tournaments in here, to create those recreational opportunities for our residents. It's not her job to be writing contracts.
And city, to add on to that, city staff as a whole, if we go back to the 20 to 25% sliding scale, if, say, Power Ford, which is, you know, a local car dealership, wants to enter an agreement with us, and we are the one that gives that name essentially to Sportsman Solutions to reach out to them and work up a contract, then we get the 5% decrease on that. That falls into that 20% versus that 25%.
so, but that's the whole thing. Why do we, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me at all for us to go to our dealership and then say, okay, Sportsman, take away 25%. I mean, there's not that much information that they would have to do. Plus, this contract hasn't been gone over by JC.
Yes, it is.
But it doesn't say, because earlier you said that we could deny stuff. I don't see anywhere in
It
there.
says in 2 places in the contract on page 56 of your packet, and technically page 3 of their agreement. It says that Sportsman Solution has no right or power to enter into any agreement in the name of or on behalf of the client without the prior written consent and approval of the client. And secondary to that, on page 59, it says client will have sole right on execution of all sponsorship agreements.
I mean, do we have to do this for 12 months?
I think where staff is coming from is it doesn't hurt to try it for 12 months. It doesn't cost us anything unless they bring in a sponsorship, and then it costs us 20% of what that is, which is 20%,
25%.
or 25%, but that's 75%, a lot more than what we're currently getting.
So I do have a question though. You said that we have the option to send them a person, right?
Correct.
So the benefit I see, like I said, I'm not fully sold, but the benefit I see is by having this, we're actually making a competitive market for the sports complex too then, right? So or whatever entity, right? So if we say, all right, Benny Boy, we want to offer this to y'all, when Hopper says, well, actually, I want that too, or I want some of that. So we're actually, I mean, literally, or an outside dealership would try to come in and they don't want that. They'll pay more than them, and I don't know. So that's the only benefit I can see about that is it gets that ball rolling in the, you know, like I say, hey, if y'all don't want this, then we will outside source this out.
Well, could we at least like get some have you gotten any feelers? Have you talked to anybody to see if anyone's even interested in doing it locally?
I have talked to multiple being at least a half a dozen small business owners within the city, and let me skip to that. And they are given out. Essentially, they if we want to ask for money from them for a sponsorship, that is money they may not be able to give elsewhere. And that's not what we want. We are taking the already competitive donation market that is within Lampasas, and we're avoiding straining that even farther by going and outsourcing these different opportunities from these larger companies. That doesn't necessarily mean that small businesses can't enter into a contract and put their name on a banner if they so choose, but we're putting less strain on the donation market here in Lampasas by going and outsourcing these larger national companies.
That's kind of where I see as a small business owner ourselves, is we are getting hit on every single week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to the point, we're just literally tapped out. I mean, we have given, I see several other small business owners out in the audience there. And I can almost I won't speak for them, but I can almost speak for them that they're fairly well tapped out on a weekly basis. We're getting hammered. And, I say if we can bring in some other outside money, I'm good with it.
I guess I'm not really good with the percentage.
One more question. I haven't seen it yet in here. Each, let's say, so that you sell a contract. Each contract is based upon each business, right?
Correct.
So like it could be a 12-month just for that 1 year, and then if we don't like it at 12 months, we can kill it and move on.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can do 1-year contracts, 5-year contracts, one-time donations, any number. It's kind of up to us essentially. The go-to typically is a 5 or 10-year contract because that's guaranteed money year to year over the span of a large period of time. But if it's something like, hey, we're doing this special 25th anniversary event and we're looking for a sponsor, then we can find a sponsor for that one-time event, and that's a one and done.
So how do they get their money? Do they get their money over 5 years? So let's say we go into
Correct.
this 12-month deal.
Mhm.
We only have 12 months with them, but they got one contract
Mhm.
that spans over 5 years. Are we then committed to them for another
Right, so
5 years?
once we receive the payment from the sponsor, we then send their percentage out to Sportsman Solution, even after the end of the 1 year.
Even after the end of the like if we say never mind, we don't want to do
Correct,
this anymore.
because
But they still are still going to get paid for the next 5 years.
for the duration of the contract with the sponsor.
My question, it seems to me that these are specialists in their field and that their abilities are in the ability to ask, where to ask and how to ask. They have a bank of people already who they know and have worked with in the past. And this will also go to a fund within our Parks Department that will help all of our parks, not just one park or two parks. It will help all of us. And I'm hoping for more parks, more kinds of parks, more opportunities for our citizens, because not everybody is a baseball player, not everybody is a softball player. Some of us are getting older. So there's other opportunities for people who are a little bit less able to do the team sports. So I would really like to see this happen. At least, like you say, 1 year, try it, see what works, what doesn't work, and go from there.
Are there other companies? Is there a Texas company instead of sending the money out of state to Iowa?
There is one Texas company, and their requirement is 40 to 50%. I did talk to them actually today. Sportsman Solutions has been extremely involved in this process. They said if you want to go talk to other companies, get a feeler for them. They said there's one Texas company that is out there. I did get an example contract from them, and they
Sportsman
would
Solutions gave you the name of the Texas company.
correct.
So we have to get 3 bids for other things. Why can't we get 3 bids for this?
This is professional services, so it's excluded from the bid requirement. Additionally, the municipality uses so many companies that aren't just based in Texas to operate.
In the past, I know the Youth Baseball Association has done sponsorships because I like for deals, sponsors in the outfield and this and that. How would that affect that? I mean, because you're taking money directly away from that organization.
That's the goal, is to not take money away
Okay.
by bringing in these outside companies.
Well, that was one of the examples, and that's why I'm
Right,
pointing that
because
one
you
out.
as a small business owner know how much you can spend on sponsorship or marketing each year. And so you're already paying taxes to the city, you're already paying utilities to the city, so what are you doing with my money, right? By going to these multi-billion-dollar corporations outside of the
But
city.
it's not
You're
about
not-
where my money's going, it's about where the money ends up. And the money was ending up with the Youth Baseball Association.
Right, and so your
Not-
sponsorship dollars can still go to the youth organization, because they will
And
be
how,
still
explain how that
allowed,
works.
So
they'll still be allowed to sponsor
Correct.
youth.
So
the youth.
But if you're putting baseball sponsors out on the outfield,
So then we
so
don't,
that takes away all the space.
we could even go and commit 50% of the outfield space or on certain ball fields to
So we'd have to have some sort of agreement with the Youth Baseball Association.
Essentially, and that's a contract that's actually going through right now, and so that's something that we could be added in.
What
And-
contract is going through right now?
LCYLA's yearly contract to utilize the baseball field, the sports fields for youth baseball.
Does that go through the Parks Board? Because I don't think we can receive that before.
It's still in the, it's with JC, and so it would go to the Parks Board in probably January. We're still far off from spring sports. And so this itself does not affect any sponsorship opportunities with LCYLA, LSA. That is a completely different market, and that is unaffected as far as there's no.
I'm just saying, they had sponsors and then you put stuff out there in the outfield or on the fence and this and that.
Correct.
And one of your examples was doing that. Well, I don't wanna take those opportunities away from that local organization, because that's where they get their sponsorship from. You know, so-
There's plenty of fence space, there's plenty of room to share out there, but this will be a direct investment in the city that can allow us to improve those facilities on a level that we've not been able to.
But you would have to sell those sponsorships at the same rate in which they're selling.
No, you do not.
But why would I go with the more expensive one?
You would be able to go with, so,
Well,
and
I
actually,
mean, literally, why would I spend extra money to go through the city to put my name on the fence?
you do not,
When I could go through the LCYLA and do it.
you do not have to go through the city. You can go directly to LCYLA.
So then you won't get any.
You do not have to, no.
So
So
I'm saying the city won't.
the city will not know. That is normal run of the mill.
I'm just saying,
Right, but
from
that's
a,
not selling
from a
naming
strategic
rights.
standpoint and a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense to go through the city to sponsor and put my name on the fence.
Correct,
When
but
I
we're
could do it
talking
cheaper
about larger
and do the
scale
same
opportunities
exact
about renaming fields or renaming sports complex or powered by, and that's not something that's gonna
But
be.
that's not the
available.
example I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
I'm specifically talking about the names on the fences, which was on her, so.
Yes, sir.
And she said that you could reserve X amount of fence space,
Yeah.
50% of the fence space, and then they could leave that out for the baseball crew. So they have 50% of the field that they baseball guys can sell their portion to local businesses. So it'd be local / whoever the sponsorship is,
That-
correct?
Yes, that's something we can commit to doing. We can say 50% of, you got about 300 feet out there. We'll say 150 feet of the outfield is committed to spots for LCYLA to do their sponsorships. 50% is committed to the city to do their sponsorship opportunity through Sportsman Solutions.
And that would be in your contract.
We could do that in the contract with LCYLA. I see no issues with that.
And you, with the oversight that we're gonna have as a city, we're gonna have Bailey, we're gonna have Aaron, oversight. We're gonna have oversight. I mean, I see it as a win-win.
You know, I'm just trying to
Yeah, I understand.
logistically
Yeah.
and mathematically understand everything.
Yeah, I don't think they're shut out the locals, yeah. Cause, and plus the locals, it's gonna be hard to come up with this kind of money and
Oh, for
do
sure.
the other. So if we don't want this Gatorade, Powerade, then we'll have sole discretion to
Well, we
not do
just,
that.
the main thing is we don't want this park sponsored by Trojan Condoms.
It actually specifically
Or
calls
something like
out.
that, you know what I mean, but you gotta have that discretion.
It
I don't
does
think that was
specifically
an
call out
example.
controversial or
Yeah.
sexually explicit or whatever in this contract.
And again, we have discretion as council and as staff and as a city attorney in JC to say, this doesn't fit the bill for the family environment that we're trying to convey in Parks and Recreation. And so we can nix it, even as soon as it came in. But, speaking with the company, this was one of the first things I told them, this is a very small, tight-knit community. And, if something, Anheuser-Busch or whatever comes in, they're probably not going to want that. And they are very understanding of we're not even going to go down that road.
Do you know what the sponsorship level is right now, say at the 580?
We have no sponsorship out there, but are you asking about an estimation of what we could get out there?
Isn't there some,
You're talking about banners and stuff.
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe we've ever asked. I don't believe that.
I had one offer for naming rights at the 580 complex, and that was $10,000 a year for 10 years, so $100,000
Okay.
from storms. I was not going to make my business.
Well, I thought they were covered about
And you know what, maybe I'm thinking about the football field over there, must be a lot different.
Yeah, those are based on the amount, and I can't remember, I don't know if a member, I think, is it 1,500 per
it.
banner?
I can speak to that because to get this sign, there's different levels of sponsorships, and it's not 1,500 for that sign. I think you can have one of those signs with as low as a $500 sponsorship, and you have that sign, and there's other things about that comes along with it.
But that is within the school district.
That is
Yeah.
within the school district.
That has nothing to do
That has nothing to do with the city. That 100% of that money goes directly to the quarterback club.
Yeah, so that, as far as anything to do with the school type venues, that has nothing to do with this.
Right.
And this, again, we're not even tapping into the same market here at this point, for the most part. From an overhead level, we're, again, freeing up more money and more opportunity for local businesses to give to the quarterback club, give to FFA, give to 4-H. And so really, not only are we going to be bringing money into the department, but we're also, freeing up additional opportunity and additional revenue at this point. I mean, $14 million increase in sales tax and revenue in the city. That's getting your local businesses out there in an indirect way as well. One more example I was able to pull today, Ira, Texas has a population of 1,200 people. The city in Ira has a contract with the independent school district that they have joint use of this facility. This was a result of a contract with the city, $500,000 and counting on this specific complex you see here on sponsorship contracts. The name on the bleachers, the name on the pylons, the name on the field goals, so on and so forth. This is the early stages of that project though. Sweetwater, Texas, it's a little bit higher population than Lampasas, just entered into contract with Sportsman Solutions. And even comparable to here in Lampasas, their contract is nearly the exact same, except they were not able to negotiate the price down to 20 to 25%. So even from a Sportsman Solutions perspective, we are on the low end of percentages. I believe Sweetwater is in a 30 to 35% bracket. Again, spoke to several local businesses. They're tapped out essentially, and so we, as a department, will be recommending moving forward with the contract between City of Lampasas and Sportsman Solutions. Again, this is a no risk, all reward contract. If we sign this contract, we owe them no money up front. And we can turn around and deny every single contract this year, and we're out no money. So there is no risk in moving forward with this contract. Any questions?
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, discussion regarding any items on regular session for November 17th, 2025. And there is none. You guys need to take a break, or you want to keep going? You want to take a break? Okay, all right, we're going to keep rolling. All right.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be here tonight in this beautiful city of Lampasas. We appreciate the opportunity to gather openly, to exchange some information, and hopefully make some good decisions for the betterment of your entire community. We ask that you bless this meeting, bless us. We ask that you watch over us in safety. We ask that you forgive us of our sins. As always, in Jesus' name, until we meet again, amen.
Amen.
Could y'all join us in the pledges?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state, under God, couple of presentations to do tonight. The first one up is Field Training Officer Isaac Alford and Sergeant John Reinhardt. You guys here? You guys can come up.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Sergeant Reinhardt can't join us tonight, he's not feeling well.
Thank you for being here tonight. On August the 24th, 2025, Officer Isaac Alford and Sergeant Jonathan Reinhardt responded to a call of shots fired upon the arrival. They were directed to a 24-year-old male victim suffering from a apparent gunshot wound to the neck. Recognizing the severity of the victim's condition, both officers immediately rendered critical first aid under the urgent, stressful circumstances. Their swift action included administering life-saving medical intervention that stabilized the victim prior to the arrival of emergency medical personnel. Professional medical staff later credited Officer Alford and Sergeant Reinhardt immediate and decisive care as a direct reason the victim survived the traumatic injury. Their actions reflect a great credit upon themselves, the Lampasas Police Department, demonstrating exceptional courage, composure, and dedication to the preservation of human life. For their extraordinary effort and successful saving of a human life, both are being awarded the American Police Hall of Fame Life Safety Award. We also, I don't think Johnny Lacheco is here tonight. Alessio, oh, I'm sorry. All right. Is he here tonight? No. So. We want to congratulate him for his 10 years from being with the Lampasas City. And thank him when you see him and pat him on the back. We've got one a community champion tonight, and I'll go ahead and read this, and after I read it, I'll ask the family to come forth. Ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, and cherished members of our community, tonight we gather not only to remember but to celebrate the life of a man whose quiet strength, unwavering kindness, and deep devotion to others left an incredible mark on Lampasas and beyond. Johnny Roberts McGehee, Jr., known lovingly as Bobby, was more than a neighbor, a friend, or a colleague. He was a cornerstone of this community, whether delivering mail with a smile, mentoring through an example, or simply offering a warm welcome to anyone who crossed his path. Johnny embodied the spirit and service in every chapter of his life. From his honorable military service to his decades at the Lampasas Post Office, from building a thriving real estate legacy to hosting poker nights that brought laughter and connection, Johnny lived with a purpose. He didn't just serve his community, he served his town, his family, and every soul lucky enough to know him. Johnny had a rare gift that couldn't be taught or measured. He was a man of integrity, patience, generosity. He made everyone feel as though that they were special. Whether you are a neighbor, a coworker, a grandchild riding in the trailer behind his lawnmower, or a stranger receiving mail for the first time, Johnny greeted you with the same gentle smile and genuine kindness in his presence. You felt seen, and you felt valued, and you felt at home. Johnny's legacy is not just in the properties he built or the awards that he earned. It's in the stories we tell, the values he instills, and the community he helped shape. He showed us that service isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up after every day with a full heart and open hands. So tonight, we honor Johnny, not just for what he did, but who he was. A devoted husband, a loving father, a grandfather, a loyal friend, and a true servant of the people. Please join me in celebrating the life and legacy of a man who made Lampasas a better place, Johnny Robert McGee Jr. And if your family would please stand up, please. If you guys will come forward and our council will come forward. That was a true community champion, going above and beyond. And I know council, we've talked a lot about what a community champion looks like, and it's these two life-saving and working hard and going above and beyond and doing what you're supposed to be doing with integrity. And that was a blessing to be able to do that. All right. That being said, we've got a public hearing, citizens comment. We have Rebecca Marshall.
Hello, I'm here again. I just want to remind y'all we still are over there. And every time it rains, I have got PTSD because of the rain from over here. And we can't get out of our driveways because the rain is coming off the road so heavy. And it's coming from above. And I just wanted to let you know that we're still there. And I want to address it as a problem before it becomes even worse. Because it's not just the July flood. Everybody said it was a 1,000-year flood. No. I have pictures from October the 25th. How I get out there in that rain and take pictures to prove to y'all we need help. And it's not just for me. It's for everybody that will not come forward. And that whole neighborhood, if it's not coming off the backside onto the back of their houses, and I have 4 corners, but you would think that I have 5 corners because the water is coming from all directions. And I put so much into it to try to keep it from doing that. And I can't put any more into it. Somebody's going to have to help. We need drainage. We need drainage, and I'm not speaking for the whole town. I'm speaking for Avenue C. I've seen it, and the people are my neighbors, and I would hate to have to think that something would happen to one of them. Because I'm new to the town, but they're people too. The citizens matter. The taxpayers pay our taxes for the street and the roads. And FEMA, I've talked to FEMA. And FEMA says that nothing is documented for that area. Now, something might have changed in the last month, but I talked to FEMA myself. Then I talked to Red Cross because the Ark is in Marble Falls. And when we have to go all the way to Marble Falls to get some kind of closure for anything, and I asked Red Cross, I said, why isn't anything getting done? They said it was political. That's what they told me. And it's not political. We, the people, we matter. The citizens matter. Without the citizens, any town would not be a town. And every life is valuable. Mine, the neighbors, and anybody else. And when my son has mental issues, and he's the one that saved my house because I had to get rescued because there was no way getting out my car garage, and I had to get a retaining wall in my car garage just to keep the water from coming through, and it's coming off the streets. It's coming off the streets, it's coming through the neighbor's yard. It has caused controversy between me and the neighbors because I'm trying to protect my property, which I have a right to. And they are coming against me. And it's causing havoc between the neighbors because there is a dry creek, and none of this is documented in any kind of real estate. So it's not going to stop here because somebody's liable, and I'm the one that's having to pay the price.
Well, and I can assure you, the meetings that I've been in, that we have talked about Avenue C and the drainage problems and the street issues. So it may not be moving as fast as what you would like or I would like, but it is being, I can guarantee you, Rebecca, it is being addressed.
Okay, because last time we were told that we were going to stay in the loop. Okay, we have had no contact. I have sent pictures to the city. I went on October 25th out there in the middle of the storm and took pictures to prove that we need help. And I appreciate it. And I know it's not going to happen overnight.
And I don't think anybody doubts that at all. And I can promise you this city is going to take care of it. one way or the other.
Well, we appreciate it because it's not just me. And, you know, I have a neighbor that has 2 little kids, and the water's coming from on the back side of the development, and it's coming, and no one is willing to say anything. And it's affected all of us. We have to keep sandbags in the front of our house, and when it rains, we dread it.
Ms. Marshall, may I ask you what's your house number?
1402 West Avenue C.
Thank you for coming and bringing this up again.
Well,
I live on Fairview. Everything that you're getting comes through my yard.
getting what?
I get everything through my backyard. Like literally everything.
Well, I get it from the back. It's coming through the alley, coming off the back.
All of Avenue C and everything comes through my backyard.
Right.
So I'm well aware of it.
Well, it's for the people, and I mean, it would be devastating if it took any family member at all. And the stress and all of that, we need a safe house to be able to enjoy. Because I love Lampasas.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm new to it, but I love it.
There is a report later today on FEMA and what's the work has been done. You might want to stick around for that.
Okay, is it today?
Yes, tonight.
Okay, all right. Thank y'all.
Thank you. 1.2, citizens comment. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. And I don't think we have anyone. Public hearing to receive citizens comment regarding a request to rezone property from single-family residential 20, SF 20, to commercial C. The property is described as part of Lot 4, Block 1 of the Go Forth Edition, commonly known as 500 North Willis Street, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This went to Planning and Zoning November 6th. It was supposed to go in October. We did not have a quorum, so we pushed it to November. This property was purchased by the Orlandos, already subdivided. At one point in time, it was one property, and it was subdivided. There's a house on one side, and there was a shop on the other side. When it was subdivided, the shop he turned it into some indoor batting cages. We did not allow him to open his business until we formally rezoned it to commercial, and it's used as commercial purposes. So it did go to planning and zoning, and it went through on a 4-0 vote. Property around there is single family homes and commercial property as well, so it's no spot zoning at the time. Any questions?
Any questions?
I have a couple of questions. The property is surrounded by several houses. On the west side, it is a field, I believe, an open field. On the north side, there is some commercial property there, so that's where you get the mixed use, I believe.
Correct. There's a photo on the screen at this time.
And then across Willis is a property that is fully residential, I believe.
Correct.
I
There's
did get-
commercial there on 580 across Willis, but it is a little further down.
And I did get a call from a neighbor that was not wanting to see this put in because of possible traffic changes. She did not submit any kind of written documentation though. So I hate to see property change from residential to commercial. So I would be opposed to this motion, should this pass.
I'm familiar with where the property is, and I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a great community involvement for children too. I mean, there's a lot of kids who get to go utilize the facility. I live right just down the road from this, and I mean, it's set back far enough. To me, it's not an eyesore at all where it's at anyhow. It's been a shop there forever. I love this thing.
And I don't think, with just a couple of batting cages, I don't think it's going to increase traffic flow.
Is that the property that it was kind of like a car lot around it before?
Yes, sir.
And
It's up by the water tower.
pardon me?
It's up by the water tower.
Right, yeah, I know exactly where it is. I just wanted to make sure I was thinking
South of
that.
the golf ball.
In the past, that shop that is now the batting cages was used as some sort of auto body center. I don't believe it was actually used in a commercial way, as it was never fully pushed out to the public. I used to live directly in front of this location, and I could hear cars backfiring. I wouldn't assume this would cause any more noise issues as what I was dealing with while I lived there.
About 4 or 5 years ago, this property did go to council for a commercial property for the use of a mechanic shop, and it was denied by council.
I would also like to add, he does own the lot right next to this, so he did purchase it, even though it is now subdivided, he still owns the entirety of the lot, and he owns the entire ag district right behind it. So any influx of vehicles that are going to be parked there are going to be on his own property. It would not affect his neighbors. And there is a private entrance to enter. It's not open to the public at all times.
I think the property, I mean, in my opinion, and driving by it every day, I think it is vastly improved from out, just driving by it from what it was.
Any other questions?
Consent agenda, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of minutes on the regular meeting held on October 27th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Boards and department reports. Police department. Chief. You have 30 seconds, sir.
You close, you like me to. What's my button now? There we go. All right, here we go. How are y'all this evening? Good. All right. About 30 seconds, but I'll try to truck along. I know y'all have already had a lot. Just a little reminder, this is us. Jody Cummings, I'm your police chief. July, I had 33 years with the city, and come March, I'll have 4 years as your chief. I'm glad to be here. We have 37 total employees at the police department. Our assistant chief, Charlie Boswell, who's here with us tonight, he watches over our animal control officer, our animal shelter, and our 2 animal shelter techs specifically, as helping with anything and everything that comes across our desk and into our building. Patrol Lieutenant Chuck Montgomery is here. He has more people than anyone else under his wing in our department. He has 2 patrol sergeants and 1 SRO sergeant, has our 9 patrolmen and our 5 SROs and 1 code enforcement officer. And again, in addition to anything else he might be helping with that day. We have 1 lieutenant investigator, Fidel Marua, and he has 2 sergeant investigators that he supervises on a daily basis. And Assistant Chief Boswell, he helps with investigations immensely and in Lieutenant Montgomery's absence. We have 10 communications operators, and that includes Kelly Sanguinet, our supervisor, who also handles all of our records and records requests specifically, which seems to take up an enormous amount of our time lately. And she has an assistant, Mary Barrio, which is our assistant communications supervisor and helps her with records. So all in all, 8 full-time communications officers with those 2, and that's 10 total. We have an animal shelter, which is our animal shelter supervisor, Casey Schwartzer, and she has 2 techs that work with her. And we have 11 Citizens Police Academy alumni that you see at a lot of our events that help us out all the time, and we're grateful for their service. We have 2 firemen that also have their peace officer certifications. One is Bart Baker that's here tonight. He's our fire marshal. And we have 1 more that also is a certified peace officer. And we watch over, though they're not our employees or under us, we have their peace officer certifications and we work with them quite a bit and they work with us. That's a total of 37 total employees, 23 officers, 10 dispatchers, 3 animal shelter employees, and 1 animal control officer that we have under our wing. I pulled out what I think is just 6 main stats categories. We have a lot more. Kelly does an extensive monthly report for us each month. But some of the big numbers are, we have to have information to do our job, and usually it comes in through the telephone most of the time. So in the last 12 months in our fiscal year for the city, we had 52,179 phone calls that either came in or went out from our department. Of those, there were 4,542 911 calls, and 3 of those were text 911 calls, which is fairly new. Of those calls, we generated 14,482 calls for service, where we might have taken the information and then had to go out. Some are quick, some take a long time. We made 906 arrests. Now those aren't physical people, those are actually charges, so that would average about 3 a day. That's not that many people. But of all the people that were actually arrested for a misdemeanor or a felony where we had to take them to jail or in front of the judge, sometimes during the day we might go straight to the judge for arraignment and avoid jail. But that's 906 total charges, misdemeanors and felonies that we filed. 1,443 traffic citations, 4,503 traffic warnings, and we put 200,519 miles on 26 different vehicles. So that's a lot of activity there alone. Our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association members helped us with 372 hours last year in various events. Of those calls that I mentioned above, 231 were code enforcement calls, primarily handled by our code enforcement officer, but there may have been a few others handled here and there by a few other officers and investigators. Specifically on our dispatching, on our emergency medical dispatch, we had 1,783 ambulance dispatch calls in the cities. And some of those, probably about 300, I guess, were transfers, where like the hospital might have called and asked us to pick up someone and take them home or to the retirement center or vice versa. And we have to dispatch those. But probably, about 1,500 to 1,300 were actually calls in the city where they had to run in a hurry and we had to handle the dispatching. There were about 1,300 ambulance dispatch calls in the county. And as a reminder, we handle all of the dispatching for ambulances in the city and the county out of the police department. So that's 3,040 ambulance dispatch calls for the fiscal year for us. On our animal side, our shelter itself brought in 472 dogs, 619 cats, and 31 others, which could include livestock, birds, occasional oddity here and there. Our animal control officer himself in the city, Joe Schwartzer, handled 1,820 calls per service for animal calls. And a lot of those are removals of, carcasses and such, but he's probably handles more calls individually than anyone else in the department. So that's a lot of numbers, but I think that's some of our basics. It shows that we're a hot little police department. Some of the things that we do that probably aren't as often as mentioned as you might think of in the news or in television shows is being a small agency in a small city, we still do things like unlock cars and jumpstart cars. We'll go to your house and talk to a young person if they need our assistance. We'll be glad to do it. We handle bank escorts for a lot of entities in the city, our banks, City Hall, a few others here and there. Stocking those ATM machines, they'll call us, we'll stand by, be glad to do it. We'll handle any speaking engagements. If somebody wants a patrolman or they want someone else, we'll go. Dignitaries stop by every now and then, especially during election season, and they don't always give us fair warning, but they'll call and say we're about to give a speech and we're going to stop off. And that's fun. We actually enjoy that. That's usually pretty entertaining and a good time. We do paid security. If someone would like to pay us to watch an event, be glad to handle that. We do funeral escorts, and you don't see that a lot of times in larger cities, but we help out with those. Any kind of traffic, large loads coming through, dangerous loads, slow loads, we'll take them through town and assist. Houses, we did a house last week. Those are rare, but 3 or 4 times a year we'll help with a house that's moving through town. We give courtesy rides. For instance, the hospital calls in the middle of the night and say we'd like to discharge somebody, but they don't have a ride, but they're ready to go, and if they live in or around the city, we'll be glad to pick them up. Do other kind of courtesy rides as well. Civil standbys, serving paperwork. Maybe there's a home situation where people are splitting up or just 2 people need to talk and they're concerned. But if we can, we'll go by, we'll stand there, stay uninvolved, but provide a presence, so hopefully there'll be no problems. We do a lot of fingerprinting for people that come in, maybe a background check or trying to make a purchase or get a job. We'll do that for people and do it as a courtesy. And we do a lot of safety and security planning these days. A church, a school, a business wants to give us a call and say, what do you think about this, or how we're doing that, or what we're about to build? Be glad to give them our opinion. Some of the events and programs that we handle, we work with LCHEC doing the College for Kids every year. We do the DEA drug take back twice a year in the spring and the fall, just finished one. But in addition to those advertised events where we set up at the police department on the Saturday and actually take in usually 3 or 4 large boxes throughout the day, we have a drop-off box in the lobby 24/7. Anytime you want to drop off expired pills, a lot of times somebody passes, they're cleaning out. We have that there. So we'll gather them up and we'll take them to the DEA in North Austin, their office, and they'll dispose of them for us. Spring Hoe, you well know, it's a lot of planning, and I'd like to give a shout out to Lieutenant Montgomery, who's here. He does an official full-out ops plan for Spring Hoe every year, and that's good practice for any event we might have. And he gets it down to the T and to the nth degree. Works out great every year. National Night Out, we just had ours. A lot of y'all were there. Thank you for coming. It's a cool deal. HEB helps us out, lets us use their parking lot, and pays the most of all the grub. And it's very well attended, and we're glad to do that. We're about to have our PD and FD luncheon employee drive 2 weeks from today, and we're going to have it at the hostess house. I think y'all been briefed on that, so that'll be our first big event at our newly refurbished hostess house, and we're glad to use it. And we work with our fire department, and again, it's a luncheon in support of the toy drive. The toy drive is the main function of the volunteer fire department. So come see us if y'all can for lunch 2 weeks from today at the hostess house. We'll show it off. Get some toys. We do about 25 various other events and street closures throughout the year, and we present most of those to y'all in the early spring on our special events roster that we have approved by you guys. Sometimes some things come in that are a surprise. We do about half a dozen other yearly events throughout the year. Some notable things this year, policies and procedures. We started about 2 years ago taking our traditional SOP manual for the police department, separate from the specific city personnel policies, and we began going through it with a service that provides a digital one. Again, Lieutenant Montgomery has taken that by the horns, and we are just about finished with it. We're looking and making sure we didn't miss anything right now and tweaking it, but it's been a pretty extensive process. It's all online, it's digital. We can email everything to the officers as the legislature meets, change laws, added things, takes it away. We can make those adjustments. It's been a pretty neat thing, and we're pretty proud to say we've got that going on at our size. We're about to start on the dispatch side of that after the first of the year, so hopefully that won't take quite as long, but it is, again, pretty extensive, and I don't know if Chuck's going to take that over, but that'll probably be Assistant Chief Boswell and Kelly. They'll probably handle that. So proud to get that done. That's a neat thing. Retirements and promotions throughout the year. Steve Sheldon, if y'all remember, retired at the end of the school year. He was our SRO sergeant. And Jeremy Herring, who was an SRO and a long-time employee of ours and in the Sheriff's Department prior, and the Lampasas Badger himself, has taken over and doing a great job, and the school is very happy with his presence and his work. If y'all remember, we've discussed the Breast Friends grant for our animal shelter several times over the last couple of years. Casey Schwartzer was very proactive in acquiring that grant, probably $100,000 plus over several years. Built a cattery, a word we all learned and didn't know existed, but there's now a special cat house attached to the animal shelter. Done good work, but the primary goal of this national organization was to help not primarily small agencies, but any kind of a shelter to do a better job of getting their animals ready to adopt, so you can hopefully get to that point of saying no-kill shelter. And what they have done is, by their funds, primarily has been able to bring in like our local vets to treat animals, help them get ready to be more adoptable. The shelter doesn't have to take these animals to the vet to get shots, minor surgeries, things like that. And the quicker they can do it and the better they can do it, the more adoptable they are. So that's been working great over the last couple of years, and they have been able to brag to say they are a no-kill shelter at this point. The SAFE funding is running out, and we're down to just a few bucks. But seeing that coming, as they anticipated, they now have got an organization they've created called SAFE, Support Animal Facilities Employees. It's local individuals that have come in now, and they've had several fundraising events already throughout the year, as knowing the grant was ending, to try to generate some money to fill in the blanks to do the exact same thing that they've been doing. So if all goes well, she'll be able to continue to provide these services, adopt out more animals, and always be able to brag that we are a no-kill shelter. Casey's done a great job at this grant and this facility. If you remember, our facility was built about 15, 18 years ago. It's on city property down near our city barn. It was a combination with the county, split the money down the middle, and we split the bills to run the shelter, all the bills and all the pay for the employees and benefits, et cetera, right down the middle every year. And the police department just provides the administration of the employees and the headache of running it, which is fine. But it is a neat deal, and the state sends people all the time to come view our shelter that's thinking about doing something of this size as an example. So we're awful proud of the work that Casey and her 2 employees do down there, and it is a pretty neat thing. And this grant has been a good thing, and this SAFE program that she's come up with is doing some excellent work. So give her a shout out. We've been using a reporting system called Badge from a company called Cardinal for about 25 years. We found out this year that they have been purchased by ARMS, a long-time national, if not larger company, and ARMS, well, they have already purchased them. So what they are going to do in the next year, and we'll probably start after the first of the year, is we're going to transition, and primarily the IT part of how specifically like our CAD and our reporting system works. It's going to be, and I can't even start to explain the exact details. Chuck and Monica could if you want to get down in that IT stuff. But I know specifically IT is very excited that we're moving to this system, which is going to be a lot less headache on their part. And so I promised her she'll just have a little patience to get through Christmas. Priority number one at the police department is we're going to get transitioned over to this alarm system. So we're excited about that. And we think it won't be that hard and it'll actually be good all the way around. So we're excited. And mainly it's not supposed to cost us hardly any money. So that's a good deal. We're already paying Cardinal, now just paying arms. Good stuff. All right. Challenges and opportunity through the next year. Always mentioning recruitment and retention. I'm proud to say we're fully staffed on the officer level right now. We have one opening we're advertising for, and that's dispatcher, and that's due to a medical retirement. So if you know a good dispatcher, please send them our way. We're accepting applications at the moment. But it's always a challenge, and we do the best we can to have a good, professional, fun, working atmosphere, provide the training, provide the support, and provide the compensation and benefits, which we're doing a good job of all the way around. And with that said, I think we're doing a pretty good job right now. But we're always keeping our eye on that to make sure we can retain our employees and attract new ones when we need to. Growth, and specifically like the city and the area, y'all are very aware. I don't think we're exploding right now, but every year, if you look at TechStop, more people traveling down these 3 highways. The growth in the city is small, the growth around us is small, but it all kind of adds up. And then our school district itself brings a lot of people in with 4 campuses in the city. So that's a lot of people during the daytime, during the school year coming or going. So it's nothing in particular, but it's a lot of activity. And our staffs go up a little every year, and we're just kind of keeping an eye on it. I don't see or think that we need to have an explosion of hiring more officers and dispatchers anytime soon. I did request in the budget process this last year that we might add 1 officer, because we haven't added to our actual patrol staff in probably 20 years. We've added an investigator, added SROs, but being compensated by the school, added a code officer. So we might look at that again, and I might make that recommendation to our management at the time when we get ready for the budget process. But we'll see where we're going, how that's going. But if it's not this year, it's soon. We're going to have to add because there is more activity. There's not an exact way to figure out, when and how that is, but we'll work together and see. Resource management, our building's in pretty good shape. If you remember, it's a refurbished building. It was actually 3 buildings that we redid about 25 years ago, but it's actually in good shape. Our chiefs before I did some good work on maintenance. We received some grants from LCRA to redo the outside. We've always kept it in good working order. So until we explode, I think we're in a good situation there. We've always been blessed with a good fleet, and we still are right now. Thank y'all very much. That has a lot to do with our recruitment and retention. And our equipment in general, I can't ask for any better. The equipment we wear on our bodies, the computers, all the things we provide. Thank y'all very much. We're doing good, I think, and we just need to keep taking care of what y'all are nice enough to bless us with. Accountability and trust is a thing, and what I'm speaking about there is in today's society, a police officer can make a mistake or something may not look good, and it may be on the news, it may happen all the way across the country, but it seems like we all get in a little bit of trouble for it all the time. So all we can do on the local and small level is always be cognitive of that and try to do the best we can to encourage ourselves, our officers, our young recruits, our trainees. We're always being watched by somebody all the time and do the best we can to remember we work for and with the public, and we're you, you're us, and it's always important, everything you say and everything you do. And we could go down rabbit holes forever, but just understand that we as the supervisors and the managers are always trying to pay attention to what we're saying we're doing, because it matters all the way around. And just one little misstep can set us back days and days and days. So we try our best, it's important. And that goes right in hand with enhancing community partnerships. Some of the things I mentioned that are other duties assigned earlier, we're always looking forward to going somewhere, talking to somebody, or providing a service, even if it's not traditional. It's always an opportunity to do a job for somebody, help somebody out with something they might not expected the police to do. It comes back around to help us all in the future somewhere. Very proud of our school resource officer program and our partnership with the school. Having 4 campuses in the city and 1 on our east end, for us to have 4 SROs and provide them out of the city police department, I think is extremely important. Because if we weren't able to do that, we're going to have calls anyway that we're going to have to help with. And there's all kinds of ways that communities provide protections and service to their schools. Not all cities have 5 campuses by 1 school district in the city. There's all kinds of different configurations the way the school district and the counties and the city limits lie. But if you think about ours, to have 4 campuses in the city, with the 1 outlier, Taylor Creek on the east end, for us to be able to provide that service to our school, I think is very important. And again, we're very grateful for that relationship we've got with our schools. So we hope to continue that, and as far as I know, all is well with the school, and they're happy with what we provide. Our EMD program is 3.5 years into our 5-year agreement with the county, and it's going well. All of our dispatchers are fully trained in emergency medical dispatch, and just a reminder that EMD means that they are able to give instructions over the phone, and they are trained to do so when someone calls in and has a major emergency, as opposed to just saying the ambulance is coming. Nothing says we have to take that extra step, but when we started doing the ambulance dispatches for the entire county a little over 3 years ago, that was one of the agreements, and they are trained, certified, all of that. It's a computer program, it's up to date, it's updated, and if somebody calls in, we can give them what's happening. They're not breathing. They are breathing, not breathing well. This is what you need to do. Please check this. And on rare occasions, we will have 2 things going on at one time. One dispatcher may be doing this on one line, one may be on the other, one might be in the city, one might be in the county. Doesn't happen like that often, but it does sometimes. Very proud to stand back and watch them when they're actually doing some of that hard work. Fortunately, that's not ever ambulance call, but it does happen regularly. Technology training and upgrades, we're always staying on top of it. Grateful for our relationship with our IT department. We provide a lot of, or they provide a lot of service to us. We provide a lot of their headaches, I guess you could say. We have a lot of IT stuff, a lot of technology, but it is all very good stuff. And Chuck does almost all of our IT side with our IT department, for the PD side, to keep all of these computers, these cars, these license plate readers, everything that we have, and it's just the way of the world these days. So, you know, I guess we could have different, but I don't know if we could have better. So thank you very much, and we're proud of all that equipment and appreciate y'all continuing to fund it. So with that said, my first slide was our Thanksgiving decorations, and there's our Christmas decorations for the year. Hope I didn't go too fast, but the mayor gave me his welcome orders. Do y'all have any questions for me or 2 of my staff that are here tonight?
Any questions?
Any advice? Any marching orders?
Let's keep going.
All right. Thank y'all very much. Glad to do what we do for y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. 3.2, upcoming special events and meetings.
We need the FEMA presentation under city manager's operational real quick.
That works for me.
And I may tag team this with some of our other staff, because I have to say that Robin and Bailey have been working really hard, along with Carlos and the rest of the Public Works Division, on getting information together to submit to FEMA. So they've really done a lot of legwork on this. But we know you guys are getting questions, and just wanted to give you an update on where we're sitting with FEMA. If you go ahead and go to the next slide. Citywide, there was approximately $1.4 million in damages. We're working with FEMA on a daily basis to provide all required documentation, and it is a lot of documentation that FEMA requires. Over 500 hours have been documented for FEMA work by city staff, and just so you're aware, if it's outside of regular working hours or was directly flood related, we will receive some reimbursement for staff hours on that. Some projects will go into mitigation, so there are certain areas that are prone to damage that FEMA believes it's a good investment to go ahead and mitigate future issues, because mostly if there was existing damage on property or if it was previously in bad condition, FEMA's not going to help us touch that for improvements. But they have recognized some areas for mitigation before future damages occur. At least one project will bring infrastructure up to ADA compliance. But the key component of this is that all projects will be paid for from the city first. So we will have to do a drawdown on city reserves, and then we will be reimbursed up to 75% from FEMA. So what we're talking about is allocating money out of the city's reserves to pay for all of these improvements or repairs up front, and then we wait for reimbursement from the federal government. So what we've been working on is getting those true numbers to bring the council to do one budget amendment all at once, so we wouldn't have to keep coming back to you. And I anticipate being able to do that in December as we're finalizing some pricing. Just to give you an idea of some damages that occurred around town, Turner Ball Fields, infield flattening, ruts as deep as a foot, infield dirt and sod replacement will be required for approximately 40% of infield material. Rebuilding home plates, reseeding outfields, estimated cost about $58,000. Here's the fun part. FEMA doesn't necessarily recognize our buy board process, so even though buy board meets the requirements for state of Texas purchasing, that doesn't necessarily meet the federal government's guideline of competitive bidding process. So we're seeing how all of that works hand in hand to try to get this done as quickly as possible. The Hancock Springs pool, the lattice fencing by the hostess house will be full replacement. Debris removal is 100% complete. 55 meters of fencing, that is complete, so we'll be reimbursed for those expenditures. There's significant concrete and topsoil erosion, damage to the pool wall. Approximate cost on that is $110,000. Also of note, if there's a historic component to it, there has to be a historic review before the repairs can be.
I had noticed that the pool is like starting to like fill up with stuff, but when we drive by it, are they not cleaning it out because of the fixing the pool stuff?
We are, right now we have a drain issue in Hancock Springs pool, and we've drained the pool. Yes. So we're draining the pool, that way we get some access down in there, when time allows.
We're also being weary because the area of infrastructure damage on the pool is near that pipe area, and so if we go and start, trying to finagle that rock out, that wall could be caved as well.
So once they can fix it, they're gonna get that rock out and make it better.
Correct.
The Hancock Springs bathhouse, we weren't really able to send any inspectors in there because they were uncertain of the condition of the floor inside the base of the bathhouse. 3 to 4 inches of the base is covered in heavy silt. 14 stones have been moved from their original location, causing structural issues. Additional damage will have to be assessed by a specialized team. And then we go back to the historic site component. So we'll have to bring specialists in for the bathhouse. The debris removal at the golf course is 100% complete. There was significant damage to hole 2, instability of the levee at hole 2, complete destruction of the bridge at hole 6, which is causing cart traffic to be diverted to the main road. You guys will recall approving the temporary use of that. The approximate cost for those components of the golf course is $336,000. And that depends on what we go in with for the bridge. There's some additional options that we're looking at that may make it a little bit more long-term, sturdier bridge, but it just depends on which way council wants to go with the repairs or replacement on that. The clubhouse also experienced significant water damage in the restroom and sitting area. Precautionary measures are having to be taken according to mold testing. And they're recommending all flooring be removed except in the pro shop. It says removal of the first 3 feet of drywall in restrooms, kitchen, and restaurant sitting area. And talking to contractors, it's going to be about the same cost to completely redo the walls rather than cut it at 3 feet and replace that component of it. So we're getting pricing for that.
So did they not bring in, did we not bring in Surf Pro or something like that to try it out?
I don't believe we did, no. I think they were really busy and not making excuses for any of it, but they were trying to get the course back into playable condition. So they, with the staff they had, were trying to balance all of that with the bridge washing out, the hole washing out, and all. So there was a lot going on. Cooper Spring Nature Park, 75% of the crushed granite base on the trail has been washed away, which is approximately 23 tons. There's significant debris in the waterway that's still being removed. Burning is mostly complete and has been in progress since August. I think they were waiting on good weather days to do a lot of that. And 84 hours of community service has been completed so far by Cooper Spring Nature Park. There will be some reimbursement factor for volunteer hours as well. The fishing piers at WM Brooks Park are unusable. The support piers were uprooted from the ground and deck has been destroyed. consulting with the Corps of Engineers since it's an in-state waterway, and that's the ADA project that we'll be taking on to make the ramps accessible so it's inclusive. Streets and culverts, again, what they were looking at primarily was damage to roadways that occurred because of the flooding. So Peach Street Alley from 190 to Barnes, Marina Road right away, Peggy Nell Alley from Peggy Nell to Willis, drainage at North Avenue and Fairview, drainage at First Street and Landon, Olive Street, East Third Street right away, and Western Street drainage. And Carlos and Robin can probably speak more if you have any specific questions about why those roadways were that damaged. If you have any questions for them. And East Avenue H Bridge has been kind of an ongoing project with us, but it's complete erosion of road base, guardrails structurally unsound, culverts sustained permanent damage. So the plan on that one is to claim mitigation and change the type or size of culvert to meet FEMA and TDM recommendations for an approximate cost of $350,000. The floodwaters made some electric poles along Avenue D unstable, so the electric department replaced those already. That's complete. You'll see reimbursement on that. One of our PD cruisers flooded, so we did receive some, and we received insurance for several of these items, but the deductible was paid for our claim. FEMA will reimburse 75% of the patrol car. TML does not cover any of the hardware, computer systems, any of that in the patrol unit, but that will be claimed under FEMA, so the approximate cost on that is $81,000. Just some protective measures that were taken by personnel through the flooding events, water rescues throughout the city, barricades were placed to close the streets, vehicles were placed to close streets that were impassable, mold testing and remediation, emergency temporary fencing, approximate cost $31,000 that meets requirements for FEMA reimbursement. 2,800 cubic yards of debris removal from the golf course, not including the rest of the city. The golf course personnel were able to get a TCP burn permit and handle that debris. The deadline for submitting all projects was October 13th, 2025. No more projects can be added past this date, but they can be removed from the damage inventory if the city chooses to do so. And since submitting the damage inventory, city staff has worked on submitting all documentation for each of the locations mentioned previously. And we're beginning the RFP process for the projects that require engineering. Recall any project that the city takes on in excess of $20,000 in public improvement require engineering. So East Avenue H Bridge, the piers at Vivian Brook, and the golf course bridge will all require engineering. Any questions?
I have a question. The 25% match, is it from the city for the cost of the city? Is that correct? 25%?
So the city will pay 100% upfront, and then we'll get 75% reimbursement from FEMA.
So the timeline on that reimbursement, do you know what that might be?
I think it depends on the completion of the projects, but I'm not sure how quickly they'll release that payment once the project's complete.
We're already in the process of getting the ball rolling on some of the reimbursements of projects that are already 100% complete, and so we're looking at 3 or 4 months, from the time they get submitted.
So do they reimburse according to it, at the end of the projects, all the projects being completed, or a little at a time?
Each of these projects is individual, so we're signing individual documentation, so the reimbursement will come accordingly.
Are there questions just for council?
Go ahead.
Are there questions open for everybody?
Just for the.
Well,
They can ask questions.
Yes.
okay. Well, my question is, Tatum was filled out by residents that were flooded and some that had to be rescued. So You look at those damages and you think about the houses and what we've incurred with our homes and what we're gonna have to fix. The roads that he knows about, West Avenue C that were flooded. Why can't we fix those too? Why weren't we part of the FEMA TITA Friday sessions that you have?
Because
So-
there's a personal property assessment and there's a publicly owned property assessment, and they're kept separate.
And the PI can help with the roads and the bridges and the roads being West Avenue C that needs to be helped.
So the city shared the information about personal property assessment, and I believe it had to reach a certain threshold. I never heard that reached that threshold for TDM to combine it.
Yes, ma'am, it did. And we weren't part of this Friday sessions with TDM and FEMA that you had. And we feel a little slighted by that.
So to my knowledge, TDM just included it was nonprofit government organizations that were included on these Friday meetings. TDM came and met with city staff and never mentioned meeting with private property owners.
Did you take up for the people of the city that were flooded and damaged by this? Because if you don't have revenue from the people that own the homes, you're not gonna have the revenue for the golf course and all this other stuff. You know, just imagine them and them having to dry out their drywall and fix their property. Think about the people that have to live in the homes and fix their property.
Which was why the city shared the information about the TDM PI.
You said that they didn't.
Yes, we did. We pushed the information out.
Well, then why weren't we at the meetings? We didn't hear about that. You just said.
Because that was public property versus private property.
The PI still assists with the roads that are damaged, like West Avenue C. There's a culvert that goes across West Avenue C to Avenue B because the city realized that there was a problem with that drainage and that runoff. Up ahead on 1400 block, down to the 1300 block of West Avenue C, we have the same problem. And with that new neighborhood, it runs from the new neighborhood over and it runs up from the street down. We need help on West Avenue C. I have pictures as well as she does too, Rebecca. So it's like, we really need the help. It's just not the city, it's the roads and the streets and the bridges. And that's what FEMA and TDM has advised us of too, that we can ask for that from council.
So when TDM set up the original meeting with us, they instructed us to invite nonprofit organizations that were affected and other governmental entities. We were not instructed to set those meetings up with them.
Just keep in mind, please, that our street is a public street and storm drains is what's needed up from 1400 area down to 13.
And we will be touching on that tonight, I promise.
Yeah, that's great.
We actually have another agenda item, and I'm going to request council divert some funding from another street improvement to drainage projects.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I didn't hear the last part of that.
We were talking about Fifth Street improvement that's later on the agenda, and you'll recall in our meeting earlier, I asked us consider getting a list of drainage improvements from the street superintendent to consider for street improvements this year rather than the Fifth Street.
Any other questions or anything? Upcoming special events and meetings? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not expecting me, sorry. Our city offices will be closing at noon on November 26th for Thanksgiving. We'll be closed the 27th and 28th all day. So it'll be Wednesday afternoon and Thursday and Friday. December 1st, as Jody briefly touched on, we are doing our holiday lunch and toy drive that the fire department and police department put on every year at the hostess house. I would like to preface that the hostess house is not open to the public as of yet. We have not passed ADA compliance, so this is just a city sanctioned function at this time. And December 23rd, we will also be closing at noon, and we'll be closed December 24th through the 26th for Christmas as well. That's all I got there.
question, if I could, on the holiday schedule. What do we usually do for Christmas, December meetings? Do we need our regular meetings? Is that coming
We,
up? Okay.
we usually cancel one of the meetings, but we're gonna talk about that schedule.
Okay, thank you.
You want to read the next one?
Last one.
I already read it. We do 4.1.
Yeah, 4.1, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing
You're
you.
good. You want me to turn it off?
You're good.
Okay. Okay, this,
Discussion and possible action regarding canceling the regular city council meeting on November 24th, 2025.
good evening, Mayor and Council. We rescheduled our first meeting of the month to this week. If we were to have a meeting next Monday like regularly scheduled, then I would have to turn around and push an agenda out on Wednesday. I just don't think that we have enough for a second meeting this month. So staff's requesting to cancel the second meeting in November.
I move to cancel the meeting in November.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion and possible action regarding the first reading of an ordinance amending Lampasas Code of Ordinance regarding a request to rezone property from single-family resident 20 SF 20 to commercial C. The property is described as part of Lot 4, Block 1 of the Go Forth Edition, commonly known as 500 North Willis Street, Lampasas, Texas. Lampasas, Texas.
Good evening, everybody. This was put on the agenda as the ordinance to the public hearing that we held earlier tonight.
I move to approve the ordinance to rezone the commercial property, let me just read it. I move to amend the ordinance regarding the request to rezone the property from single-family residential 20, SF 20 to commercial C. The property is described as part of Lot 4, Block 1 of the Go Forth Edition, commonly known as the 500 North Willis Street, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed.
Discussion and possible action regarding the approval and acceptance of the Lampasas County Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center biannual report. Order 3, Order 4.
Sorry. Good evening again. This was brought to you during the workshop session, and this is to push it through and reimburse the chamber $31,257.85.
I move to approve the biannual report by the Lampasas County Chamber of Commerce and Business.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion and possible action regarding Lampasas County appraisal, LCAD resolution to cast vote for board members.
Good evening again. This is brought to you by LCAD. They reached out to us last couple weeks ago and let us know that we are up for our voting of the members of their board. As the city, we received 332 votes. You can split that up however you choose. You can give it all to one person, however you wish to do that.
Motion? We have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to cast votes and approve resolution for candidates. Cast the votes evenly across the 5 candidates is best, so it's 66.4. So one would get 67, 165.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Opposed.
Opposed. discuss and consider the selection of the winner of the city's website photo contest. And I think there's just one, so I think,
No wins. I make a motion to approve the lone candidate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
discussion and possible action regarding the professional civil engineering service agreement with Eckerman Engineering Incorporated for the 5th Street roadway reconstruction from Key Avenue to Spring in the amount not to exceed $62,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I put this on the agenda because this was a project that I had that went through the CIP committee, and you also approved it in the budget, was for 5th Street, and now I'm understanding we may do something different. So, yeah, so and I understand we have drainage issues and all that, but like I said, this was a project that was approved by the CIP and the council. So this is just for the engineering services so we can get everything going.
If we're changing the scope, do we still approve or do we table?
I would recommend that we deny this and direct staff to bring back a priority list of drainage projects that may need more attention than street resurfacing at this point, given what we've heard from our residents over the last several months. Because we've identified several locations. Carlos knows there's one on North Spring Street that we're looking at a change order to the current project that's happening in that area, so that may be able to be included. But my concern is that in doing those change orders and looking at these other drainage projects, we only have $380,000 for street improvements, and that's not going to accomplish this entire project. So I think we can deny this at this time, have staff bring us a list of priority drainage projects and look at those in conjunction with street improvements and maybe reallocate those street improvements somewhere else. So,
Like change the street improvements, like push it forward a year.
correct, delay this to a future time.
And could some of that be on our eye on Avenue C with this?
So that's why I would request that that Carlos, in conjunction with Stephen and possibly Eckerman Engineering, bring forward a prioritized list of drainage projects across the city.
So would you prefer that we make a motion to deny it, or would you like us to table this item?
I'd rather it not be tabled because that gets a little messy, just hanging out there for a while. So if we can go
Okay,
ahead.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to deny item 4.6 on the agenda.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Discussion and possible action by the city council, city's acceptance and conveyance of certain public utilities constructed pursuant to the development agreement between the city and S2M2 Incorporated, according to the engineering plans to develop Eckerman Engineering Incorporated and approve the TCEQ, which public utilities provide service to the Brody subdivision and other areas in the city jurisdiction, and city council approval of acceptance of warranty deed conveying all ownership of public utilities from the developer to the city in perpetuity.
Mayor and council, this item's before you. You'll recall several years ago, council signed a development agreement for Brody Estates with S2M2. The detention pond was designed to city specifications. I believe Eckerman Engineering was involved in that, so if you have any specific questions for them, they are here this evening. But the detention pond is ready to be accepted by the city for maintenance and control. And that will take it out of the developer's name and transfer ownership to the city. The streets department is ready to take over maintenance of that. That certain feature does work as designed to slow the drainage across Front Street.
So I make a motion to accept the conveyance of certain public utilities constructed by S2M2 Inc. pursuant to its development agreement with the city as shown on the report provided to the city by Eckerman Engineering and as approved by the TCEQ, and that the city also accept a warranty deed from the developer conveying ownership of those public utilities to the city in perpetuity.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
4.8, discussion and possible action regarding the bid from Blue Bonnet in the amount of $63,507.75 for a 2026 Ford F-250 to replace a 2012 Chevrolet 3/4 ton pickup utility for the electrical department.
Mayor and council, during this year's budget workshops and the subsequent budget approval, City Council approved a capital improvement for the electric department for the replacement of a 2012 3/4 ton Chevy pickup. The city did receive 3 quotes from Don Ringler Chevrolet, Blue Bonnet Ford, and Hoff Power Ford. While the Chevrolet comes in slightly less expensive, and we're talking about $100, the electric department is asking council to approve the bid from Blue Bonnet for a 2026 Ford F-250 truck in the amount of $63,507.75. They're asking for this consideration because the package allows for a more suitable vehicle for the department.
I do have a question on this. The quote from Hoff Power was for an F-350. So why did we not get a comparable quote from Hoff Power?
I sent a spec sheet that said 3/4 ton. I didn't even catch that they sent back a 1 ton.
Yeah, because I mean that's a dramatic price difference. I mean, I bet Hoff Power would be pretty close to the same, or if less price. Because I mean it's a different engine and everything in there. So is there a way that we could get?
I asked them in mid-October for a quote, and they never got back to me. It was right before we were submitting it. I reached back out, and I think he just kind of threw something together last minute just to put it in.
Saying snooze, you lose.
And if you want, we can table this tonight and bring it back on December 8th.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just curious to know, what where the difference was. That's comparing 2 different things.
Is there any trade-in value on the 2012?
Generally, we can, but generally we auction those vehicles off at one time. We don't use it as trade-in. Has historically been how we've handled disposal of assets.
Well, at this time, you're asking to table this. Is that what I'm hearing?
Are you good with that? We can reach back out to Hoff Power and make sure we get a bid for an F-250 from Hoff Power.
4.9, discussion and possible action regarding the authorization of a contract between the city of Lampasas and Workforce Solution regarding the naming rights on the kickoff communities.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I believe you've been given all the information.
I do have a very specific question, which I didn't think about until been kind of thinking about this.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think this has been brought to the Parks Board as a votable, because I think that the reason that we have our boards is so that items like this can be brought to the boards before it's brought to council. And I don't believe that this has been brought to the Parks Board as a discussion and agenda item. And since the Parks Board's meeting later this week, I would really prefer them to hear it before we vote on it.
The Parks Board has received this in discussion already last month.
I don't think so. I think it was brought to them.
It was discussed.
And voted on?
I don't know about that.
No, it wasn't brought.
Whether they were aware, I think was the question. Yes, they were aware.
I don't think it was brought on as an agenda item, like for them to vote on. It was like, hey, we're talking about this. I don't think that the Parks Board's had the opportunity, and we did just have that training. They do have a meeting this week. I don't think it would hurt to get it in front of the Parks Board before we decide on it.
We don't have time to add it this week, so we need to go on the next month.
The agenda's already been posted. The agenda's already been posted, and the Parks and Rec Board does not meet in December. It would be all the way into January.
What's
Being
the rush?
the rush being, we're really trying to work on some of these FEMA projects, and that can be a financial offset for that. But then also, we're we're looking at, expanding. And why, this was brought 2 weeks ago and.
Yeah, when we brought it
pushed.
2 weeks ago, we said, no, didn't want to, and you're like, well, should we bring it back in 3 months? And it was brought back to immediately. It hasn't had the opportunity to go through the board. I'm just asking that we follow policy and go through our boards before we bring it to council. But it's up to the council whether we listen or not, because we just had that training and all that stuff.
The Parks Board is an advisory board, and
Right.
so even if they don't necessarily have to have the final say on this item.
No, they don't have to have the final say, but
Well,
they're
what
an
I'm hearing
advisor.
is it did go to the board for discussion.
It did. She was discussed.
It didn't go for discussion.
It did have a discussion on it. I was there, and I took part in the discussion also.
It was not listed as an action item on the agenda, which is Kathy's point. It did go to the board in discussion and is documented in the minutes.
But it wasn't an action item.
Correct.
Well, if you
Is
bring,
there a recommendation from the park board?
No, because it wasn't an action item. That's my point. We have no recommendation from the Parks Board. So why are we having advisory boards if we're not listening to what they have to say? I mean, this is a big decision.
well, here's what I'm understanding. If we approve this tonight, and you bring us back something, we can deny that.
Absolutely. We can approve this contract tonight.
Whatever we approve tonight doesn't necessarily mean it's a final deal, but show us the money.
Correct. The only steps that are going to be taken, if it is signed tonight, is we will forward the signed contract over to Sportsman Solutions. They're going to bring a team out. They're going to do evaluation of our facilities, see what local companies that may be interested, larger local companies, and work from there.
And again, this is not costing us one time.
Absolutely.
No, it's not costing us a dime, but we're going into a contract with the company for 12 months without it going through or even being brought to us in the Parks Board saying, yes, we think this is a good idea. No, we don't think it's a good idea.
Oh, I think it's like the mayor said, it's pretty much a no-brainer in my mind, and it's going to benefit.
But you're not letting your,
And it's going to benefit the people.
but you're not letting your advisory boards give you any, so why do we have advisory boards? If we're not.
Yeah, they.
Exactly.
They're advisory boards. We are letting the board make any, suggestions. That's what I think.
And they will have, I'm sure they will have a part in whoever is named and whether the contract.
No, they won't, because we are going into the contract with them as a city, not the board.
They won't have any such problems.
Okay, do we take a vote on this, or do we?
I make a motion, council, authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents related to the contract between the city of Lampasas and Sportsman Solutions LLC.
I'll make a second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One other discussion and possible action concerning the approval or denial or approval with modifications to renewal of interlocal cooperation agreement for the payment for provision of ambulance service by the city of Lampasas to the city of Lampasas to Lampasas County.
Mayor and council, you have this item before you for consideration tonight because several years ago, it's my understanding there was a handshake deal, that's Judge Boyer's term, between the county and the city for cost share for the EMS services for Hamilton. Nothing was memorialized in writing. And so we kind of ran into that this budget year where it wasn't initially included in the FY26 budget. So I made a suggestion to Judge Boyer that it be memorialized in writing that protects both the city and the county. JC has reviewed this agreement and essentially rewrote it to the benefit of the city so that if there is any sort of cost increase from Hamilton EMS, the city is only obligated for $100,000 that we've agreed upon through 2029. So this is just a formal document memorializing the agreement between the city and the county for the city's cost share for Hamilton County EMS services.
Make a motion to approve and execute interlocal agreement with Lampasas County to pay for the provision of ambulance services.
Second.
What did we pay last year?
100,000.
And your report?
It's,
It
100,000.
I think it was, because then they came to both the Commissioners Court and they came to council, they being the ambulance service, Hamilton, because their overall increases, so I think it went up to 200. So
Right.
before, I think it might have been 50 if I remember.
That sounds familiar.
Chief Cummins, you put that deal together, didn't you?
Just the dispatching part of it, sir, not any kind of shared cost service. But I know we're in the dispatching, which will be the same 3 years in several months. It started with this year for both of those. 3 years and a couple of months. So that may be because you're starting on a call, because it wasn't called.
FY '26 will be the second payment under this handshake agreement. So it was $100,000 in March of 2025, and then we'll get $100,000 invoice in March of 2026. But again, you know, it almost
27 and 28.
correct. The handshake agreement, quote unquote, was $100,000 for the duration of the county's agreement with Hamilton EMS, which was a 5-year agreement at $200,000.
Just out of curiosity, how much do we pay? Because the county doesn't, I mean, I know we just give them the $100,000 because EMS has a contract. But how much does, like, what about the dispatchers? Because we had to get that whole group of dispatchers to use Hamilton. So does the county pay anything for that, or do we foot the bill for all the dispatchers?
They pay about $225,000 a year for dispatch.
So they do help with the dispatch? Okay. Just that. I couldn't remember.
Yes.
No, and I did notice that the city of Lampasas has quite a bit more medical emergencies than the county does.
Yes, but it is the county responsibility, but I think that this is a good partnership.
Right.
And this contract reflects what's happened to this point in time.
I'm sorry?
During 2025.
Correct.
This contract reflects what our arrangement has been.
Correct, because the Hamilton agreement's only through 2029, and you will not find an EMS service that is less expensive than this.
All right, we have a motion.
Yeah, we're waiting to vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Just a reminder that we typically cancel the second city council meeting in December. We do have one scheduled for December 8th. We are looking at potentially scheduling a special session for the following Monday for just a short agenda with some P&D items and things like that.
And it's like 5 minutes, right?
Pretty much, yeah. If we can do it in 5,
And Jody's not allowed to talk.
we will keep Jody off the microphone.
Keep Jody off.
We'll let him pray for us.
You say December 15th?
Correct.
No.
No?
No.
It's not very far.
That's another one you're in, Charlie?
Yeah, it's no.
Is it a hard no because of the?
If it's a hard no, I'll be in Las Vegas. Yes, hard no.
Is there another date?
I'll be here.
December 8th.
And we are having this
I'll
already.
be here. I'm gonna say Eric's gonna be here. I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, all that being said, the City Council of Lampasas, Texas, meeting closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551 as follows. Section 551071, consultation with an attorney to seek and or receive the legal counsel for the city concerning pending compilation litigation, settlement offers, or any matter in which the duty of a legal counsel to the city council to advise the city governing body regarding such matters pursuant to state law, statutes, including the Texas Disciplinary Rule of Professional Conduct and the State Bar of Texas in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Ajinomoto Foods, North America, Incorporated, AFMA. Section 551.074, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, and discipline of a public officer or employee, city manager, or other personnel matters as allowed by Texas Government Code Chapter 551. And adjourn into executive session. This time. Pardon me? Yes, and we need to take a potty break. On the record. Getting back to order, get a motion?
I move that we approve the.
Motion to reopen back up.
I motion to reopen it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have one thing coming out of council executive session this evening.
And I move to approve the binding agreement relating to compliance with the city ordinance and for construction of a private pre-treatment plant to be effective as of the date signed by AFNA, July 10th, 2025.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.